As a coach, I wonder if you've ever had sales training. I didn't think it was something I ever really wanted or needed. And then several years ago, I had the opportunity to take a role that involved sales, primarily something I had never really done as a professional role before. And I found that it helped me to grow and develop as a coach as well. And I want to share with you in this episode how sales training helped me to become a better coach, and really why I think probably all coaches could benefit from some level of sales training. So let's fling open the doors to the coaching clinic, and we'll see you after the intro.
Welcome to the Coaching Clinic with John and Angie, the show for professional coaches that explores the ins and outs of coaching, from working with clients through to running and marketing your coaching business.
If you're a professional coach who's committed to your own personal and professional growth, cares about making a difference, and wants to have a successful coaching business, you're in the right place.
My name's John Ball.
And I'm Angela Bezignano.
Between us, we have over 50 years of coaching experience and best practices to share with you. From getting started to scaling up your business.
We know what works and what doesn't, as well as what it really takes to have a successful and thriving coaching business.
With new episodes every Wednesday.
Make sure you're subscribed to get them fresh.
You probably already realized it's just me today flying solo. Angie is recovering at the moment, and hopefully she will have her voice fully back soon, and she will be back to join us once again. But just before we get into what we're going to be covering today, here's what we're planning for the show. We've been finding that some of the shorter episodes that we've done recently have been quite popular, and we think that maybe it's nice to have a bit of a selection of shows that you can listen to. So we'll still have an episode each month where it's me and Angie talking for maybe 30-40 minutes about a particular topic. We're going to also plan to bring you an interview episode each month. At the moment, we're setting those up. And we're going to bring you a couple of shorter episodes, which will just be one with myself and one with Angie, where you get to hear a bit of our individual expertise instead of both of us nattering on for however long. So we're going to try that out. You can let us know what you think, and we hope that you'll enjoy this format and that you'll enjoy the selection of some shorter episodes, some longer episodes, and some guest coaches coming on as well to talk about their areas of expertise. But today I want to talk about sales training for coaches. And frankly, a lot of coaches suck at sales. Let's be honest about it. And it's not an easy thing. I mean, we come into coaching, we just want to coach. And so the sales part of it can really let a lot of coaches down. That's certainly been true for me in my past as well. When those prospecting calls get to that point where you have to start discussing pricing and payment, it's easy to go to pieces and start to feel unsure of yourself if you don't really know what you're doing. Also, just getting yourself onto those calls and into some prospecting where you're reaching out to people can fill a lot of coaches with fear. And that alone can stop you from taking the action that you need to take to grow your client list and to have a successful business. I will say this, I was lucky enough in the role that I had with a podcast training company a few years ago to be trained up pretty much every day. There was training every day, it was intense, but I liked it. And a lot of that training was with sales professionals, people called setters and closers. Setters are the people who set sales calls, and ideally they're setting them for the closers who are going to close the sale. Both roles will often work on a sole commission basis or on a primarily commission basis. And so making the sales becomes critical to your success in those kinds of roles. In that role, I would get the privilege to have one-on-one sales training from some experts, as well as being able to attend group coaching and training that would go along with that, and a whole online program of sales training that I could work through. And this was with Cole Gordon. If you've ever come across Cole Gordon before, it was really good stuff, and his team were amazing people. I got to learn some fantastic stuff from them. Just amazing at what they do is because they put in the time to become amazing. Now, I think some people do have some more natural talent to particular areas of sales. I was probably much better working as a setter than I might ever have been as a closer. And some of the reason for that is, in closing situations, you do have to be a little more confrontational to some degree, obviously in a respectful way. And that is something that I didn't feel as comfortable doing, but could do it. And again, it would take more training and commitment to get there. But the reality is, the reason why we needed to have all that coaching and training is because sales is hard. It can be a bit demotivating. In fact, so much of it is about mindset that is essential to set things up that put you in the right kind of mindset to be able to do a good job in sales. And especially as a lot of that work is on like phone or Zoom calls. So you need to be able to be mentally prepared for potentially a lot of rejection, to start training yourself out of taking that personally, and to start to train yourself into helping people move forward who do have a want and have the ability to move forward with the program, making sure that something is the right fit for them. And I think there is still this association that a lot of people carry around sales, that this is just about getting people to buy your stuff. And that's all it is. But it's not. Sales is about creating a relationship, a trust that says, hey, you have a need and you have a problem. I think we can help you with that. We have this that is designed to help you with the problem that you have. And let's see if this could be a good fit for you. And if it is, we're going to deliver that for you. That's not the end of the journey. Now, sure, if they sign up for the program, great. They're on their path, but you are still a part of that business. You're still connected to that organization. Your trust is part of what's helped get them through the door into that relationship with that business. And so it's essential that you care about the people that you're helping through to that. Otherwise, you can end up, and I've seen this happen, I've even been accused of it one time, of trying to push people to do something that they don't really want to do, which even with the best ethical will in the world can still happen because some people change their mind and they want to back out, and they will look for every way possible to back out and everyone possible to blame for them having made a decision that they think they didn't actually want to make in the first place. So a lot of stuff can happen, and no matter how good or ethical you are, you can still end up being accused of stuff because of these kinds of situations. Whenever money is involved, things can turn unpleasant quite quickly in certain situations, and we just have to accept that. But I think a lot of this stuff puts coaches off the whole sales side of their business, and ultimately that's not serving you, and it's not serving your potential clients who you could be helping. And I've talked on the show before about triage calls or discovery calls, and helping to make sure as best you can that you bring the right people into your coaching, whether it's one-on-one group programs, online programs, whatever else you're doing, that you try and bring in the right people who are a fit for working with you and with your community, who you feel that you can help them get good results and they're going to do well in your program. You ideally don't want to be bringing people in just for the dollars. Not like some gym memberships where they will just let you keep paying and paying. I'm happy that the gym that I go to, they will check in and they want to make sure that you want to renew your membership with them before they just go ahead and try and take money. In fact, they set it up so that your period of membership does not auto run. You have to go and renew your membership because they actually don't want people who are making payments to the gym and not using the service. They want their members to feel like they're being cared for. And I think that is a level of care, and it's one that we should have as coaches. So I said in the intro that sales training made me a better coach. And I think I need to explain why I believe that's the case. One of the things you have to get to very quickly in sales calls, especially the setting calls that I was doing, where I was really qualifying people for whether they were a good fit or not, was to try and get very quickly to where their biggest challenges and problems were. Because when I could identify that, I would know whether the program we had was going to be potentially a fit for them or not. Regardless of whether they would actually have the finances or anything else like that to proceed, that's the first thing we had to get to. And so sometimes you had to get very quickly from a little bit of rapport into getting to those sales questions ASAP so that you can understand the pain and the problem that they have. That can require a little bit of digging. Now, you do need to have a little bit of rapport. But one thing I got from sales training is that you don't want too much rapport. And I think that is true with coaching situations as well. and potentially what I got taught with things like NLP trainings and the likes. You may have had similar experiences, whereas that's all that you want, lots and lots of rapport. I don't think that's the case so much in coaching. You want enough rapport that you feel a connection and that you can have a good conversation, but you don't want lots and lots of rapport because you're not trying to create a friendship here. And we just had Chris Marr on the show talking about being an authoritative coach. And there is the importance of having that bit of distance and authority with your clients, that you're not trying to be their friend. You're not trying to please them. People pleasing is actually going to be damaging to you as a coach. So we need to have a little bit of professional distance, but we want to keep the relationship good. We want to have some good rapport there, but not too much of it. So too much rapport is damaging in sales situations as well. You then want to get as quickly as possible into talking about what the problems are that they have. Where are your challenges? One of the questions I was probably asked the most, and which I ask in coaching discovery calls as well, what's your biggest challenge right now? What's your biggest challenge right now in relation to what we're talking about, what you're looking for coaching or help with? With that, we can start to dig into it. Like, tell me a bit more about that. So I don't just want to get the surface level problem. Like, tell me a bit more about that. I want to know what the pain is for them. I want to know how it's been affecting them. I want them to know that I'm interested in hearing more about it. So I'm asking to go to a bit of a deeper level here. Can you provide me with some more information? Give me an example of what's been going on for you. How has that left you feeling? What is it you really want here? What were you hoping would happen that didn't happen? These are the kinds of questions that can help you dig into what somebody's issue are. Even just in asking these questions, you are starting to get into a sort of coaching relationship. You're not really coaching them yet, but you are taking them down that journey of, all right, here's where the problem is. Here's where the pain is. And maybe even here's what I would like to happen. Here's what I'm going for. And then we know whether we can actually help. In terms of making a sale, is this program going to be the right fit for you? Now, in that particular situation, and the company I worked for not long after that, where it was speaker training, it's very easy to figure out, all right, the problem is you want to be a full-time podcaster, but you're not making any money. The problem is you want to be a full-time speaker, but you don't know how to do that. Great. What is it we can go into? What is it you want to speak about? Who is it you want to help? What have you been doing so far? Where have been your biggest challenges in finding paid gigs? That's the sort of stuff we can look to get into to find out more about these issues. We want to ask probably similar probing questions in coaching, but I think in coaching, we don't always go quite deep enough with people. And so asking those questions like, tell me more about that. And getting to, okay, how did that feel for you? What really happened here? What have you done before? What didn't work previously? Great stuff to get into with people because you want them to understand where the pain and the problem is and where the solution is that they're heading. And you want that in your coaching calls as well as in sales calls. I think also, just in terms of being a better coach professionally, being able to make sales calls is really important. I'm not necessarily suggesting that you have to go and take sales training. It wouldn't hurt you, but it's probably not the most pressing thing on your mind. Understanding some basic principles of sales, maybe even see if you can find a short program or a good book about sales, especially for coaching services, that could help you to be able to have these conversations more easily. There are some great mentors out there. And I'm not talking about the people who are talking about like, take your coaching business to $1 million in 6 weeks kind of thing. I never like those offers. It's very fly by night. Sometimes it's stolen IP of other people's content, great courses that other people have taken, said, all right, I've learned this from them. Now I'm going to go and teach it to other people and charge a ridiculous amount of money for it and not really have the expertise or the backing to be able to help people as well as the people who they borrowed or stole the IP from. There's a lot of that out there, or people calling themselves experts who aren't really. You still must do your due diligence, but a bit of sales training could help you be better as a coach, both with your business, being able to make the calls, push yourself to do that. A great recommendation I got during a sales training, and I think it was Mateus, was to read Seth Godin's book, The Dip. Short book, really good, but it's about striving to become the best at what you do, even if you're never going to become the best at what you do. That having that striving to do that is going to help you to keep growing and pushing yourself when things may get a bit challenging for you as well. Great attitude and a great thing to do. But I would say one of the most valuable pieces I learned during that whole process was about how to get on with doing the calls, doing the stuff that you don't really want to do, or that sometimes it's hard to motivate yourself to do. And the reality came to be that the hardest thing to do sometimes is to get started, because our brains are sometimes creating friction, sometimes feel like working against ourselves. We could call it self-sabotage if you like, but it's our stuff coming up. Or sometimes it's a lack of motivation, or it's insecurity, or fear of rejection, or the fear of the unknown, which is, these are all very real things that can happen on sales calls for sure. We don't know what we're going to get or what we're going to have to deal with, and our brains tend to like certainty. So it's very natural for those sorts of feelings to come up for us. But it doesn't have to be the case that we let those things stop us. And what we tend to find is if we just get ourselves started and get things rolling, we do start to build momentum, and we get better and better at doing the thing that we have a bit of resistance to. With time, with practice and enough repetition, you will have no fear about that. You'll just be able to start doing the numbers, making the calls, following through. There are so many things in life we can do that with, that we just have to get started, build momentum, and not spend too much time listening to our self-talk that is trying to talk us out of it, or thinking about how we don't feel like it. How many times in life, with yourself or with your clients, have you come across "I don't feel like it" as being the reason for not taking action? Very common, very common. One of the main things that stops people doing things is because they don't feel like doing it. They don't, all right, I don't feel happy, so I don't want to do that. I don't feel salesy today. I don't feel like doing my marketing. I don't feel like creating content today, so I'm not going to do it. There are times when it's actually not a bad thing to push ourselves to do some of those things that we don't really want to do, because otherwise we will end up only ever doing the things that we feel like doing. We are limiting our ability to get stuff done. This is definitely harder for people who work for themselves than when you work for other companies. Sometimes just that thing of, I don't feel like doing this today, but I have to do it because I'm going to get fired if I don't. If you have a job working for a company, can be enough of an incentive to get you to take the action and do that. We don't always have that if we're working for ourselves. So we have to be the person who pushes ourselves forward and say, no, this is going to be worth it. Oh, I don't feel like getting up and going to the gym this morning. Well, you're going to feel better afterwards. You're going to see and feel long-term results if you take that action and go and do it. But you're going to have to push yourself into becoming a little bit uncomfortable to get that to happen. And that means pushing yourself up against what you feel like doing rather than what you perhaps know you should do and you feel some resistance to. Now, this isn't me saying we should always do stuff we don't want to do or don't feel like doing. No, we do have to, I think, sometimes acknowledge what's going on for us. But more than anything, we have to be aware of where we are limiting ourselves from taking action, or maybe just not taking enough action. I've had friends who never really cleaned at home, and the houses would get messy and dirty. Several people I've known in life like this, and I'm the kind of person that would go stay there or be there with them and clean for them, because I just can't live in a dirty house. I am by no means a clean freak, but I absolutely cannot live in dirt and mess. And also, I liked doing that for them as well, because they were friends and I didn't want them to be living in dirt and mess either. But the thing of that is that they weren't cleaning because they didn't feel like it, or they'd do the bits they did or just had to be done because you can't function without them, but leave the rest of it and just cope with it or ignore it, shut it out. I think the mind's ability to delete, distort, or generalize is amazing. And it's incredible what people can ignore in their own personal environment, what you get used to and can close your eyes to. And that's the kind of thing that can happen with the coaching business as well, that we ignore or avoid the things that probably do need to be happening that we don't really enjoy or don't feel like doing, in favor of the stuff that we do. And often the case then that happens is the stuff we do enjoy doing isn't income generating activity, isn't getting us new clients or new work. It's just busy work, or it's creative work that isn't getting you paid. And then you're operating on hope. Hope is not a great strategy. Now, hope is a good thing to have, but it's not a great strategy for business success in the long run. So I encourage you with your own coaching business to take a good, honest look at some of the things that you might be avoiding because you don't enjoy them or don't feel like doing them, or just think you're not good at them. And so they may not be happening. And then take a look at all the stuff that you are doing and whether that is actually getting you the results that you want to be getting. And maybe have a think about, could you be in sales conversations or in coaching calls with your clients going a little bit deeper, not just taking surface level answers for them, asking the questions, the follow up? Tell me more about that. And tell me where this started or how it's been making you feel operating at a superficial level that you're coaching. Don't be afraid to help identify the problem and then help them identify and express the pain of that problem. More than anything, use the idea of strive to become the best, or at least definitely strive to become the best. No, you may never become the world's best, but you can definitely become the best you could be at that. Reaching for excellence is one of the things that always will help us to keep growing and developing. But more than anything, start taking the action, especially with that stuff that you don't love doing or really want to do. If you can't delegate it to someone else, if you can't take it off your own plate and hand it to someone else who's much better at it, then you are going to have to take some responsibility for that and get things rolling. Use momentum to work with you. And don't be afraid of other people's reactions. You may have to deal with some interesting, challenging, problematic things along the way, and you will deal with them. So there's no real need to fear the unknown. If someone is ever rude or nasty to you or angry or sweary or even threatening to you on the phone or on a call or even in person, you can take that step back. You can say, all right, and I've done this. You can say, I'm going to end this call now. All right, it's not okay for you to speak to me like that, so I'm going to end this call. Or I don't accept this kind of behavior, so I'm going to step away now. It's okay to do that. You have to have your boundaries as well. And it helps you to remember it's not about you, and you are not responsible for how that other person reacts. Because unless you are poking the bear and provoking them, you have not caused that situation. They have. So I think these are all good things to bear in mind. I hope this gives you some insight into some of the ways in which sales training has helped me to become a better coach. And I will be back very soon. I think we'll be back pretty soon with an episode with Angie. We have some interviews lined up. And if you want to get in touch with us, you can contact myself or Angie through our LinkedIn profiles. Now, if you use the app on the mobile, you can leave us a voicemail or a video message there. We'd love to hear from you. If you're not using LinkedIn, you can leave us a voicemail for free at speakpipe.com/the Coaching Clinic podcast. You can leave up to 90 seconds of voicemail. And again, we'll be happy to feature you on the show if you did. But we'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear any feedback you have on this episode. Especially we'd love to hear from you if you're a coach who's had sales training and found that's benefited you as well. Or if you are a coach who's struggling with any of the things we talked about in today's episode, get in touch. Have an amazing week. Take care.